Welcome back to Liberty Nation TV. I'm your host, Scott Cosenza, and joining me today is Mark Angelides, our managing editor. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Scott.
And one of your great functions, Mark, as a UK resident, is to handle the overnight influx of new news, including late night tweets by our president, Donald Trump. And it looks like he's going to close America to immigration. He talked about issuing an executive order suspending immigration to the United States. Is this a political or health measure, Mark?
Well, that depends which side of the aisle you're on, Scott. If you're more of a Democrat supporter, you'll almost certainly see this as a political move designed to build up or rebuild what they see as a flagging base of support, especially now that the economy has taken such a big hit through the coronavirus. So what Trump's got to head into 2020 with is his initial promises on immigration, building the wall, etc. So if you're coming at it from a Democrat side, it's definitely political. If you're not coming at it from a Democrat side, then there's a lot to be said for managing a global pandemic that moves across borders within human beings to shutting down immigration. There's a lot to be said for it. In fact, it is the most effective way of limiting new cases coming from outside once you've got the cases inside under control.
What are some of the challenges that he's facing with this decision, Mark?
Well, there's doubtless going to be some legal challenges towards it, as there is with pretty much every decision made by the president, especially one that attempts to have the force of law. But the main challenge will be, again, in the media, where on one hand it'll be portrayed as America, and you can see the arguments forming already. America already has X amount of cases, therefore why bother? I mean, that's the end result of it. They would never say, why bother closing the borders? But that is the reality of it. They're saying, we have so many cases already, why are you doing this? But the fact is, you'll never get it under control unless you do control the immigration. Because let's say, just for example, by next week, all of the cases have been discovered. Everybody who has it has been traced, is receiving care, and the immigration keeps coming.
Well, Mark, so many of us are familiar with what's happening here. We hear a little bit about China. What's happening in the UK with immigration presently?
Well, actually, in the UK, it's quite an interesting test case to give you an idea of what could be happening in the US. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the lockdown situation here, but unless you have what's known as an essential workers role, you are limited to leaving your house for roughly an hour a day, whether that's for exercise or for going shopping. And people are being fined, and some people are being arrested for being outside or for breaching social distancing things. So we have a very, very strict lockdown policy here. However, what we're seeing is what the Secretary of State for Health, Matt Hancock, revealed the other day whilst flustered in a TV interview, was that every single day, 15,000 people are coming into the country. So it doesn't matter how well the British people manage with these social distancing guidelines, the lockdown rules, because at 15,000 people coming in a day from all over the world, from China, from New York, from Italy, from Iran, the hotspots around the world, and they're just going out and mixing with the general public. So we're never going to be over the coronavirus pandemic if you keep having massive immigration. And bear in mind, these people are not tested and not screened upon their arrival.
What a sales pitch for your country, Mark. It's worth it even if you can only go out for an hour a day.
Very much so, Scott.
Okay. So back to the Trump policy, which was announced by tweet, as so many are, Mark. You have an understanding of where things were with Trump's previous travel bans. Will the courts, do you think, allow this ban to be enacted and stay?
Well, this is far more your area, Scott. But as you know, in 2018, Trump's travel ban was, I believe this is correct, it was first it was blocked by a court, and then the Supreme Court said that the restraining order on that can be lifted, and the travel ban can go ahead whilst the courts fight it out for whether this travel ban is a legal process. Is that about right?
Yes, the actual constitutionality of the law is yet to be determined by the Supreme Court, but the administration was allowed to enact the ban while the fight was ongoing.
So this will be a very similar situation, no doubt whatsoever. It's going to be challenged. It will probably at some point end up in a higher court, and we'll see what happens there. But I suspect that Trump will be allowed to implement it whilst they're fighting any legal challenges.
Still 5-4 at the Supreme Court the last time I checked.
Yeah, very true, Scott.
Mark Angelides from the UK, managing editor for LibertyNation.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mark. Bye-bye.